Hi there! Welcome to What is Islam Academy. Let's learn about Islam together.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in humanity, peace be upon you all. Today we're tackling one of the most controversial and misused questions. Why do some Muslims commit violence in the name of religion? This question isn't just a curiosity, it's often a weapon used to paint an entire faith with the brush of extremism. But let's approach this the way we always do, logically, rationally, and factually. Let's begin with a foundational truth. Islam is perfect. But what does that mean? It means its divine sources, the Qur'an and the authenticated teachings of Prophet Muhammad, the Sunnah, are considered flawless and complete. Muslims, on the other hand, are human. We are fallible, prone to error, and subject to cultural influences and personal desires. This distinction isn't just a theological point. It's the essential starting block for any honest evaluation of the faith, separating the divine message from the imperfect human messengers. So when we see individuals who identify as Muslim committing acts of oppression or violence, it's crucial to ask, are they following Islam or their own interpretations and desires? Just because some Muslims do something wrong, even something horrible, doesn't mean Islam teaches it. In fact, it often means they are acting in direct defiance of its core principles. To judge a faith of nearly 2 billion people by the actions of a fringe minority is a logical fallacy. The Quran itself establishes a clear principle of individual accountability, stating, "No bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. Your actions are your own." Think of it this way. If a doctor misuses medicine to harm a patient, do you blame the medical science itself? No. You would say that doctor has betrayed their Hippocratic oath. As the scholar Dr. Zakir Naik often asks, if a person wearing a white coat performs illegal organ trade, do you say modern medicine is evil? The answer is obvious. A corrupt lawyer doesn't invalidate the entire legal system. A fraudulent accountant doesn't mean accounting principles are flawed. In every case, we judge the individual's failure to live up to the established standards. No, you blame the individual, not the institution. The same principle must be applied to Islam. Do not judge Islam by the actions of some Muslims. Rather, judge Muslims by the authentic teachings of Islam found in the Quran and Sunnah. This is the only intellectually honest approach. The Quran commands believers to be persistently standing firm in justice, even if it be against yourselves. This is the true standard. The actions of any Muslim must be weighed against this divine scale, not the other way around. The benchmark for Islam is its sacred texts, not the flawed behavior of its followers. Let's go to the source texts, not the news headlines. In an age of sensationalism, it's easy to form an opinion from a decontextualized quote. To truly understand a worldview, we must engage with its foundational scriptures and the scholarly tradition that has interpreted them for centuries. This means looking at the evidence directly. A profound statement on the sanctity of life is in the Quran, chapter 5, verse 32. It states, "Whoever kills a soul, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely, and whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely." This verse follows the story of Cain and Abel, the first murder. It establishes a universal principle. A single unjust death is a crime against all of humanity, and saving a life is a service to all of humanity. This reverence for life is echoed in the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. In a famous narration, he defined a true Muslim in practical terms. A Muslim is the one from whose tongue and hand the people are safe. This is a comprehensive definition of peace. It's not just about refraining from physical violence, the hand, but also from slander and verbal abuse, the tongue. It commands a Muslim to be a source of safety for everyone. So, where is the endorsement for violence? There isn't one. Critics often cherry-pick verses about fighting, ignoring their historical context. These verses were revealed during a period of intense persecution, giving the early Muslims permission to defend their community from annihilation after years of non-violent resistance. They are not a blanket command for offensive warfare. Scholars are clear that these verses are bound by specific circumstances and governed by a much larger framework of justice and mercy. In fact, Islam's core principles are the antithesis of aggression. The Prophet himself was sent as a mercy to all the worlds. The Quran commands believers to stand firm in justice, even if it be against yourselves. And the concept of jihad is widely misunderstood. While it can refer to defensive warfare, Its primary or greater meaning is the internal struggle against one's own ego and anger. It is a struggle for self-control and moral refinement. Even when defensive war became unavoidable, Islam established a revolutionary code of conduct. The first caliph, Abu Bakr, instructed his army, "Do not kill a woman, a child, or an old man. Do not cut down fruitful trees. Do not destroy inhabited areas. Do not harm those in places of worship." These rules, from 1400 years ago, are the foundation of international humanitarian law. They stand in stark opposition to the tactics of modern terrorism, which deliberately targets civilians and infrastructure. This is the exact opposite of the faith's teachings. Let's be honest and address the elephant in the room. Extremist violence committed in the name of Islam dominates headlines, and it's undeniable that such groups exist. But to stop at condemnation is to miss the most critical question. Why does this happen? Is the cause truly religious doctrine, or are we overlooking deeper, more complex factors? To find the answer, we must first draw a clear line. Politics is not religion, even when religion is invoked for political ends. The overwhelming consensus among scholars is that violence is almost always a reaction to socio-political injustice, not a product of pure theology. Think of grievances like foreign military occupation, political oppression, or systemic marginalization. These are tangible political problems that create fertile ground for desperation. The data overwhelmingly supports this. Robert Pape, a political scientist at the University of Chicago, conducted a comprehensive study of every suicide bombing from 1980 to 2003. His conclusion was startling. Over 95% of these attacks were not driven by religious fanaticism, but by a specific political goal: to compel modern democracies to withdraw military forces from territory the terrorists consider their homeland. This isn't just one academic's opinion. Former CIA case officer Mark Sageman's research found that radicalization often occurs within social circles of friends and relatives, united by a shared sense of outrage, not in religious institutions. This brings us to the individuals themselves. Far from being devout scholars, studies consistently show that many who join extremist groups have a shallow, often flawed understanding of Islam. They are frequently manipulated by charismatic leaders who exploit their emotional instability or desire for revenge. Their actions stand in stark opposition to 14 centuries of Islamic scholarship. The Qur'an is unequivocal, stating in chapter 5, verse 32, that whoever kills a soul, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. Classical Islamic law established strict rules of engagement in war, explicitly forbidding the targeting of non-combatants, women, children, and the elderly. Therefore, when we see violence, we are not seeing the teachings of Islam in practice. We are seeing the tragic outcome of political grievances being channeled through a distorted and weaponized version of faith. The problem isn't the message, but its manipulation. This is why the late great scholar Ahmed Deedat would often advise, don't look at the Muslim, look at the message of Islam. Let's be fair. Have Christians never committed violence in the name of faith? The Crusades killed millions. Colonial powers justified invasion and genocide in the name of God. Hindu nationalists, Buddhist extremists, and even atheist regimes have caused mass violence. So if a Muslim kills, it's Islamic terror, but if others kill, it's a lone wolf or mental illness. This double standard is not only unfair, it's intellectually dishonest. Why does the world associate Islam with violence? Because of the media. If one Muslim does something wrong, it's headline news. If 100 Muslims feed the poor, no one reports it. In fact, the FBI and Europol report that over 95% of terror attacks in Europe and the US are not by Muslims. Still, the myth continues. Why? Because fear sells, and Islamophobia has become a profitable industry. What should Muslims do? Condemn extremism clearly and publicly, and most already do. Educate both Muslims and non-Muslims about true Islamic teachings. Show Islam in action, through good behavior, community service, and peaceful dialogue. Avoid reactionary anger, because truth does not need rage to defend it. Islam teaches that there is no compulsion in religion. Quran 2, 256. Invite to the path of your Lord with wisdom and good preaching. Quran 16, 125. The Prophet Muhammad never forced anyone. He was called names, attacked, and insulted, but responded with calm, compassion, and truth. Let us follow his example, not the actions of the few who betray his legacy. So why do some Muslims commit violence in the name of religion? Because they've misunderstood the faith, been politically manipulated, and ignored the actual teachings of Islam. But Islam itself, it stands for peace, justice, and mercy. Don't let the actions of a few define the truth of a religion followed by 1.9 billion people. Study Islam from the Qur'an and the Prophet's life, not the evening news. Subscribe for more answers, and remember, truth stands clear from falsehood. Quran 2:256.